Hello, you cunning and pliable land shark. I'm Lauren Spalding, and this is the Collective Practice Podcast. This podcast is all about supporting psychotherapists in growing your business, advancing your clinical skills, and taking care of your own mental health. So today I wanted to talk more about the clinical side of our job and a common occurrence that shows up with us and our clients, and that is countertransference. Now, if you are tuning into this podcast as a licensed associate or licensed therapist, you know what countertransference is. But for those that might not know, countertransference is the emotional reaction of the analyst to the subject's contribution. And that is a smart little definition I pulled from the dictionary on Google. So a lot of times countertransference is described as our reaction to our client based on our own history, and sometimes can even be experienced by us feeling triggered by a client. And while that's true, countertransference isn't always being triggered or having a big reaction to our clients. It can show up in our sessions in a more subtle way. So one example of countertransference is if you have a client or clients on your schedule that you find a bit more challenging, or you find you're working harder in those sessions. It is likely that there is a relationship dynamic happening that is leading you into more of a role that's reactive versus a kind of open and curious therapeutic role. And countertransference often is described with a negative connotation, and I can understand why that's the case in school, because professors are trying to get us to explore how countertransference can negatively impact our clients and the therapeutic relationship. The truth is, though, countertransference is not always bad, and sometimes can actually be a really helpful tool if you have that self-awareness to bring it into the room or to fuel your therapeutic relationship and to help their goals in addressing their own relationships outside of sessions. It's when we ignore that reactive place with our clients that we can fall into trouble. We could potentially break our ethical code. We could potentially cause emotional harm to our clients, or we could potentially be holding our clients back. So being curious and mindful about your emotional and even physical reactions to clients is really important. But you also need to find a way to have some self-compassion with that reflection in order to create positive change or positive impact. So just to give a quick example, I have worked with new moms in my practice, focusing more on helping new moms adjust to this new phase of life and creating an open and safe space for those moms to process all of the emotional experiences of motherhood. I might work with a mom who has a similar experience to mine. Say I'm working with a mom who's managing anxious, intrusive thoughts coming up that are causing some anxiety around being a good mom. And so if I experienced that as well in my early motherhood days, I might start reacting to that client with more of an agenda or more assumptions coming into play. Now, if I'm trying to be aware of my countertransference playing out, I might notice that. I might notice that I say something like, "Oh, you're probably experiencing this," and have a response from my client to let me know that I'm actually not aligned with her. I'm instead reacting from my own experience. And if I just have the self-awareness or the curiosity about that dynamic, I might quickly go into judging myself, criticizing myself, or even shaming myself. And that inner critic is just not going to be helpful for my relationship with that client. Instead, it's good to practice meeting this experience with some level of self-compassion. So noticing this part of you that is being reactive to your client and seeing if you can get a little bit of space from it can be helpful. But then to also see if you can extend that self-compassion with thoughts like, what needs are coming up for me? What expectations am I having? Are there any fears or concerns underneath this part of me? And if that's the case, can I take a moment to care for myself? That might be in the session. If you're feeling really triggered, you might lead the session more into taking a pause or taking a breather so that you can settle in the different parts that were being triggered. Or it might be something that you're able to put aside while you're still in session with your client and then take care of yourself once that session ends. So there are lots of different ways that you can unwind from a session or care for yourself between clients or at the end of your workday. If you notice that the part of you that was being reactive has a need for rest, you might want to plan something that's intentionally restful at the end of your day or even at the middle of your day, like taking a nap, meditating, doing some yoga or light stretching. It could look like taking a hot bath, or sometimes it even looks like binging a Netflix show. You might notice that your need is to ground yourself, and so that might look like a guided meditation or something that can activate your five senses. So like using sand or something tactile, maybe water. That could look like going on a walk or sitting outside, touching your feet to the ground. And that could even look like taking your shoes off and feeling the grass or the dirt underneath your feet. Or maybe you could use your sense of smell to ground yourself. That could look like burning sage, lighting a candle, smelling things like lavender, rosemary, or essential oils. Another great thing to do is to explore the parts of you that are coming up in your therapy sessions with your clients. So that could look like joining a consultation group or joining group therapy. It could also look like doing your own individual therapy. It could also look like connecting with the parts of you through creativity. So that could be using painting or drawing to connect with your experience. It could look like journaling to connect with your experience, or it could look like building a sand tray around what was coming up for you that day. I love the topic of countertransference because it addresses that relationship piece to our job. We could get all of the certifications and attend all of the trainings all year round, but if we're not also addressing the art and the relationship around our job, we are only showing up partially for our clients. I want to encourage you to try out some of the things that I talked about today to bring new self-awareness and self-compassion to your experience as a therapist. And if you are looking for additional support around this through consultation and a processing group, be sure to check out the Coffee and Countertransference group that I have starting next year. You can go to laurenspalding.co and check out services, and you'll find information about this group. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. As we wind down from this episode, take a moment to reflect on your key takeaways. How can you care for your business and yourself this week? Don't forget, you are awesome and worthy of a hugely successful career. I hope to help you and support you along the way. I'll see you in the Collective Practice Facebook group and in the masterclass. Visit laurenspalding.co for more details. Talk to you soon, friend.